So today is March 25th, 2025. Yesterday we were discussing about Sati mindfulness, how important to develop this mindfulness, how important to make it an extraordinary mindfulness in order to control, in order to train this difficult mind. As the Buddha said, the mind is very difficult to train, very difficult to control. It goes wherever it wants. So without mindfulness, we cannot suppress this difficult mind. We cannot control this mind without mindfulness. Therefore, mindfulness is very important in suppressing this difficult mind. And if there is no mindfulness, the mind always wants to wander, wants to wander in sensual pleasures. Many kinds of sensual pleasures the mind always wants to have. And when there is unwise attention on those sensual pleasures, then we cannot control this mind. The mind is very happy there, and later on, when we did not find any benefits of the practice, when we did not gain any benefits of the practice, then the mind again becomes unhappy. So it is very important to control this mind with mindfulness, and Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw has taught us how to have that mindfulness continuously. So according to his instructions, if we study very deeply his instructions, we can see that from very early mornings when we wake up till the night, there is no time for rest. There is no time for break. So every second, every moment, we have to keep this mindfulness. It is not very easy actually, from early morning till night, whole day. We have to maintain this mindfulness in order to tame, in order to train this mindfulness so that the mind becomes very calm and collected, the mind becomes very peaceful. And when the mind becomes very calm and collected, then knowledge arises. The insight knowledge arises stage by stage. And when insight knowledge becomes matured, then we attain the Partha and Trushan knowledge. Therefore, the Buddha said that Buddha said the bhikkhus that bhikkhus, you should dwell mindful and clear comprehending. You should dwell mindful and clear comprehending. And there are many objects so that we can keep the mindfulness. There are many objects, many domains. In Satipatthana Sutta, the big objects for Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, and Dhamma. But Kaya, the field of Kaya is also very wide, very big. So if we cannot dwell on those field of meditation, on those objects of meditation, then what happens? The Mara, or evil one, will seize us. So here I would like to talk about one discourse regarding this, how the Mara can seize us if we fail to dwell on our own domain, on our own house. And for us, as we are meditators here, our domain is the objects of meditation, Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, and Dhamma. So in that discourse, there was a hawk, and that hawk descended suddenly to catch a quail. And the quail, a very small bird, the hawk descended with full force, with full strength to catch, to seize that quail, and he carried her. So when this quail is carried by that hawk, then the quail lamented, "Oh, I am very stupid. I'm very unlucky. I'm very unfortunate. I'm very stupid because I am wandering in others' territory, leaving my own home. I am roaming in others' territory, leaving my own home. Therefore, this hawk sees me. If I just stayed in my own territory, if I just stayed in my ancestral territory, then this hawk will not be able to catch me. So I am stupid." And then the hawk heard her lamentation and asked her, "What is your territory? What is your home?" And the quail said that, "My own territory is a newly plowed field covered with earth. So that is my own home." And then this hawk, he thinks that he is very strong, he has a strength. So he is a bit proud of that. And confidently he said, "Okay, I will release you now. So you go to your own territory, but still I will catch you. You cannot escape. I will catch you." So that hawk released a quail. Then the quail, now he's free. So he comes to his own place and he standed over that plowed field. And he challenged, he asked the hawk, "Okay, you come and catch me now. You come and catch me now." So hearing that hawk descended with a full strength to catch this small quail. And then a quail noticed that hawk is very close to her. So he slips from that place inside the earth. So at that time, the hawk, because he descends very with a full force, he cannot control his speed. He cannot stop on the way and just crash there. So this is the analogy the Buddha gave. What happens if we leave our own domain, if we leave our own home? What can happen to us? So the Buddha said that, therefore, O monks, you do not roam in others' territory. You just stay in your own domain, own territory, so that the Mara will not be able to seize you. So the Mara here, the evil one here is, we already know the Kilesa Mara, the defilements or the hindrances. So if we leave our own domain, that is the objects of meditation, then very easily we will be seized by the evil one, the Mara, the Kilesa, hindrances, defilements. We will be seized by that. Therefore, we should not pay attention to those things that makes our mind disturbed, that makes our mind very distracted, that makes our mind very weak. So sometimes in the practice, we may encounter many difficulties because our mind is not very strong enough yet to fight, to face any kind of difficulties that might occur in the course of practice. Because the mind is still very tender, very weak. And we have to make that mind very strong so that it can face any kind of difficulties faced in the practice, encounter in the practice, in the course of practice. Therefore, when we feel very disappointed, when we feel very unhappy, when we feel very restless, we should not pay attention to those things again and again. If it happens, we have to note them immediately. We have to observe them immediately. Therefore, we have to remember the instructions again and again. According to the instructions given by Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, we should be working continuously, as we said yesterday. Satatsa Kiriya, Satatsa Kari, Atita Kari. We should be working non-stop. We should be fulfilling our duties of noting. And if we fulfill that duty, our responsibility of noting, observing the objects moment by moment, then we will surely gain the result of it, the fruit of it. So the Buddha therefore said, Sato bhikkhave bhikkhu vihareya sampajano. You should dwell mindful and clear comprehending. You should dwell mindful. We should have mindfulness all the time, observing every arising objects moment by moment. So the mindfulness becomes extraordinary mindfulness, very formed mindfulness, that we feel our noting mind is very strong It can note almost every arising objects. The mind can note objects completely, distinctly. It can cover everything, not losing any part of the object. It sees the nature of that object very clearly. Therefore, again in Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha mentioned about this Sampajañña, clear comprehending. There is a Sampajañña, yeah, clear comprehension. Means every physical activities that we are doing, we should have a clear understanding of those activities. So Sampajañña atapis Sampajano Satima. Satima is mindful, being mindful. When we are mindful, then our mind becomes calm and collected on the object. That calm and collected mind is a concentration, and that one, the momentary concentration we gain. And when we develop that momentary concentration, when it becomes stronger and stronger, we see the things very clearly. We understand, we know the things very clearly, the mental and physical phenomena. So clear comprehension, Sampajañña. Sampajañña, clear comprehension, is actually, it is the knowledge. Knowledge, the vipassana knowledge, insight knowledge. Seeing or observing the things in very clear-cut manner, knowing correctly, knowing completely, and knowing by oneself. Means this knowledge is our personal knowledge. That is also the Sampajañña, our personal knowledge. This is, we come to know this not because we study the books or we listen the Dhamma talks, we reflect on that, not that type of knowing. This is our personal knowing we gain through the actual practice. And that knowing also in very clear-cut manner, very distinctly knowing. We can differentiate very clearly the object and the noting mind. We can differentiate the nature of those objects very clearly. Pajañña. There is no confusion. There is no delusion. So Sampajañña, which is translated as clear comprehension, that is knowing by oneself completely and correctly, and also distinctly in clear-cut manner, without any confusion, without any delusion. So that type of knowledge we should develop. And we can develop only when we are very mindful all the time. We are very mindful. We are very diligent in observing the objects. Then we develop that type of knowledge. And we have to develop that knowledge stage by stage. Yeah. So Sampajañña, seeing the objects clearly, means knowing its nature, the ultimate natures, knowing the cause and effect relation or conditionality, and also knowing the universal characteristics like impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self. That is Sampajañña. So when this Sampajañña knowledge occurs, there is no confusion, there is no delusion. Everything is very clear, like a crystal clear, yeah, very, very clear. So there are 4 kinds of Sampajañña mentioned in the text. The 4 kinds of Sampajañña. The first one is Sattaka Sampajañña. Sattaka Sampajañña is knowledge or knowing which is beneficial or which is not beneficial. The knowledge that can differentiate the beneficial and not beneficial. So when we have this Sattaka Sampajañña, we are able to differentiate which is beneficial and which is not beneficial. Then we do only the beneficial that can bring benefits to us. We only do that task which can bring benefits to us. So the ability to differentiate, the ability to know which is beneficial and which is not beneficial, that knowledge is Sattaka Sampajañña. So for example, as a yogi, as a yogi, when the yogi spends a lot of time in reading books, lots of time in listening Dhamma talks, would that be beneficial for the yogis? Spending more time in listening Dhamma talks, spending more time in reading Dhamma books. Actually, reading Dhamma books is good. We gain knowledge. Listening Dhamma talks also very good. We gain knowledge. But when we are doing this type of meditation, especially this mindfulness insight meditation, instead of observing the objects moment by moment, if we spend our valuable time in reading, in listening, and also in reflecting, analyzing, would that be beneficial for us? No. That is not that won't bring any benefits to us. The specific benefits to us. So, though reading Dhamma books, listening Dhamma talks is good, but when we are meditating, then too much time, if we spend too much time on those things, then that will not be very beneficial to us. So the ability to think that way, that is the Sattaka Sampajañña. So when we come to know that, spending too much time in reading is not good for us, we have to do the practical job, practical job of observing the objects so that we gain mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. So knowing that way is a Sattaka Sampajañña. And also, as a yogi, we should not wander here and there. We should not go where there are lots of people, but you all are very lucky here. Here nobody, only the yogis are here. But sometimes there are many people. There are the places, there are many people. If we go to that place, then we destroy our concentration. So going to that place is not good. So we should know that way. So knowing what is beneficial for oneself and what is not beneficial for oneself, that knowledge, that knowing is Sattaka Sampajañña. And again, The second one is Sappaya Sampajañña. Yeah? Sappaya Sampajañña, knowing which is suitable and which is not suitable. Yeah? Which is not suitable to do right now, which is not suitable to do right now. So we should be able to differentiate that also. Though it is beneficial, sometimes it is not suitable at that very moment to perform that, to do that. That won't bring any benefit at that time. That might be a disturbance at that time. So we should have that type of ability, that type of knowledge, so that we can figure out which one is suitable for right now and which one is not. And knowing, oh, this is suitable right now, then we follow that one. So that type of knowledge is Sappaya Sampajañña. Clear comprehension on suitability, which one is suitable and which one is not suitable. Just now we say reading Dhamma books is very good for us, but as a yogi, spending time on reading books is not suitable at that time, because we may lose our valuable moments. Yeah? And the third one is Gochara Sampajañña. Gochara Sampajañña, this is the most important one. Gochara Sampajañña, clear comprehension about the domain. Gochara is domain. Yeah, clear comprehension about the domain. So this is most important for us. If we are able to fulfill this Gochara Sampajañña, then the fourth one, Asammoha Sampajañña, clear comprehension of reality. Clear comprehension without delusion. Asammoha. Asammoha is without delusion. So clear comprehension without delusion, Asammoha Sampajañña, will arise automatically. So the third one, Gochara Sampajañña, is very, very important for our yogis. Just now on the discourse, we already heard that we should stay where? In our own domain. Yeah? Our domain is the objects of this meditation. The four big objects, Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, and Dhamma. And Kaya, the sitting, standing, walking, lifting, moving, placing, noting, rising, falling, stretching, bending, looking, hearing, all are Kaya. So we have to stay in that Gochara, in that domain, so that the Gochara Sampajañña will be fulfilled. So Gochara Sampajañña means clear comprehension of domain. That means not leaving the object of meditation even for a moment. Not leaving the object of meditation. Not abandoning the object. Always staying in that object. That means noting that object all the time. So that is the Gochara Sampajañña. And in the discourse, the Buddha said that when one looks ahead or one looks elsewhere, one should be mindful. One should look ahead with a clear comprehension. Means whenever you look somewhere, you look in front or at back or the side, you have to be very mindful so that you come to see the things clearly. Whenever you look something, if you look it mindfully, you come to know what is that looking. You come to see the things more clearly. So other day we already heard about what type of mental and physical phenomena occurs during looking or seeing. Yeah, there is eye base, and the visible form strikes on that eye base. So the seeing consciousness appears. And this visible form and the eye base are the physicality, is a rupa. The eye consciousness is mentality. And the contact, the visible form, seeing consciousness, and the eye base, the contact, the meeting of these three is contact, phassa, that is also mentality. And we feel sometimes good or sometimes bad. That feeling, vedana, is also mentality. So when we see something, those things occurring at that time, and if we are able to note at that time, looking or seeing, we come to know about that mentality and physicality very clearly. And again, when we look something deliberately, yeah, when we look something deliberately, why we look? Because there is an intention to look, wanting mind. We want to look. That is why we look. If there is no intention to look, then we won't look. Yeah. So in looking, there is an intention, wanting mind. And when this intention or wanting mind occurs, what happens? It causes the air element. It causes the movements. The air element spreads in the body. So because of that air element, what happened? The lower eyelid, it settled down. And the upper eyelid, it lifts up. So the eyes open. And when eyes open, then we see. And this opening of eyes, the lower eyelid, it settles down, and the upper eyelid, it lifts up. This process, who is doing this process? Is there anyone making these eyes open? There is no one. Yeah? No one is making these eyes open. Just now we say there is an intention. We want to look. There is an intention. Because of that intention, the eyes, we want to open eyes also. And that causes air element. And because of that air element, the movement of air element, the eyes open. There is nobody who causes these eyes open. So, and when eyes open, then we see. We see something. The seeing consciousness occurs. So that is the process of seeing, process of looking and seeing. So at that time, if we are very mindful of all those processes, we are able to note that intention, we are able to note the movements of the eyelids, like a opening. We are very mindfully opening the eyes. And sometimes we feel it's very difficult to open the eyes because the eyelids sometimes we feel very heavy, difficult to lift up. We come to know that. Why? Because we are very mindfully observing that opening process. And when we open, then we see. So, because we are not leaving this object of meditation, we come to know this physicality and mentality very clearly. Very, very clearly. Therefore, the Gosara Sampajañña, not leaving the domain, the object of meditation, we come to know the objects very clearly. Means when we see there is only mentality and physicality, there is intention, so the eyes open, cause and effect relation, and also when we keep on noting that way, sometimes we see those physicality and mentality are arising and passing away. They are not permanent. So seeing distinctly the physicality and mentality occurring at the moment of seeing, moment of opening eyes, that is asammoha sampajañña, clear comprehension without delusion, or clear comprehension of reality. That is the absolute truth, the ultimate truth occurring at that moment. Therefore, we have to be very mindful, very careful. So every time, whatever we do, according to the text, it is said when you are looking ahead, when you are looking elsewhere, when you are bending and stretching your limbs, when you are carrying the alms bowl, that's for the monks. And as for the yogis, when we are carrying the plate and bowl in the kitchen, in the dining hall. So, and when we are wearing clothes, when we are eating, drinking, and when we are at the toilet, in the washroom, when we are urinating or defecating, at that time also we have to be mindful. That's what said in the discourse. You have to be mindful and clearly comprehending while we are in the toilets also. And also when we are walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, and waking up in the early morning, and when we are speaking, or when we are remaining silent, when we are silent, we are not speaking. So in all those physical activities, we have to do it mindfully. And we should be doing them with a clear comprehension. That is Gochara Sampajañña. So it's all about that we have to work on continuously. We have to work non-stop. So every small moments, whatever occurring at that time, we have to observe them. So this Gochara Sampajañña is very, very important for the yogis. We have to understand it very clearly. In sitting meditation, not only sitting, whatever the sensations occurring at that moment, whatever objects occurring at that moment, we have to observe them very carefully. We have to be mindful so that we can see those objects very distinctly. In the olden days, there is a monk, very mindful. Even in one stretching his hand, he stretched out his hand mindfully. So one time, he's talking with his students, talking with his disciples, and he stretched his hand all of a sudden, means without being mindful. He suddenly stretched his hand, and later he remembered, oh, I was not mindful. So he brings his hand back to the first position, and later he stretches his hands very slowly. At that time, very mindfully. So his students ask him, why do you do like that? And this monk said that when I start to practice, I never stretch my hand without mindfulness. But just now, I was talking with you also, I forgot. Therefore, I am bringing my hand back to the first place, and I again stress my hands with mindfulness. So that is being mindful and stretching hands with clear comprehending. So that way we have to do. And in Gosara Sampajañña, the clear comprehension of domain, the commentaries explain it in very detail actually. The commentaries explain it in very detail. So they divide it into four kinds to explain this Gosara Sampajañña. The first one is being mindful when going, but not mindful when coming back. So what this means that in olden days, mostly the monks, they live at the forest. And for alms round, for the food, for the alms, they have to go to the village, nearby village. So monks at the forest, the whole day they are practicing, doing sitting meditation, standing and walking whole day. And at nighttime also, before they sleep, they again do this sitting meditation and walking meditation, and then they fall asleep. When they fall asleep, they sleep mindfully, and they wake up early morning, and the monks at the monastery, they have their own duty. They clean the monastery, they do the monastic duties they fulfill. After that, they go for the alms. They go to the village for the alms. So whole day they are doing sitting and walking meditation very mindfully with clear comprehension. They sleep, they go to the bed also very mindfully with clear comprehension. They wake up, they are very mindful. When they perform their duties, the monastic duties, they are very mindful. They do every job very mindfully with clear comprehension. And when they walk to the village, on the way also, they are going very mindfully. They accept the food and they stay on one place and they have their food there. They are very mindful. But after lunch, for example, after taking food, when they came out from the village and outside of the village, many people would be there, many children will be there, and this monk talk with them, but not mindfully. They they do talk and chat, and he come back to the monastery without being mindful. So here, this monk is maintaining his mindfulness when going to the village, but he forgets when he comes back. That's the first type. So here also, as a yogi, you go to the dining hall for your breakfast and lunch. So when you are going, how should you go now? Like this monk. Yeah? When you go to the dining hall, you go in your own pace with mindfulness. Keep the mindfulness at that time also. And when taking the food also, be mindful as much as you can. When eating also, be mindful as much as you can. And after food, after taking the food, when you goes back to your room, at that time also, what you have to do? Mindfully, you goes back to the room. Yeah. If you are mindful when you go to the dining hall, but you forget after your food, you forget when you go back to your room, then that would be the first type. Yeah. You are keeping your Gochara Sampajañña on the way to the dining hall, but on the way back from the dining hall, you forget. Yeah. The second one is sometimes the monks at the forest, the whole day they do meditation, and in early morning they have to perform their duties, and sometimes they feel very hungry. Early morning they feel very hungry. So they want to finish their duty very quickly. So they do everything very quickly. Very easily they lose mindfulness. And after finishing that duty, they walk to the village very quickly. Very quickly and very early morning, they get some rice porridge because very hungry. After getting rice porridge, sit somewhere and drink that rice porridge. Yeah, 1 spoon, 2 spoon. After drinking 1, 2 spoon, they feel bit relief. The stomach is better. Before too hungry, feel the stomach burning. Yeah, the burning stomach. So this monk is very hurry in doing his duty and going to the village. And after taking 1 or 2 spoon of that porridge, then he feel bit relief. And then now he drinks very mindfully and very, very slowly, very mindfully. So after drinking that porridge, again he goes for alms round for the lunch. And he goes very mindfully. He does not lose his mindfulness. Very mindfully he goes for alms round, take food, and then comes back to the monastery very mindfully. So that is the second type. This monk keeps mindfulness when he returns back, but when he is going, he cannot keep that mindfulness. So that is the second type of Gochara Sampajañña, that one stays with one's object. One stays with one's object. And the third type is never keeping mindfulness. Yeah? Losing mindfulness all the time on the way to the village and on the way back from the village. Not mindful. So he never thought to be mindful. So that is the third type. That means this person is not maintaining his mindfulness means he's not dwelling in his own home. So that is the third type of mindfulness. But the fourth type is very mindful all the time. On the way to the village, also very mindful. On the way back from the village, also very mindful. Always keeping that mindfulness. Sometimes in the olden days, monks are very afraid of losing the mindfulness. They don't want to talk with anybody. They don't want to talk with anybody unless it is urgent. So what they do is some monks, when they go for alms round, they put some water in their mouth, but they don't swallow it. They just keep water in the mouth so that they don't need to talk with other people. So that way they keep their mindfulness. So that is the best one, being mindful all the time. That is the best Gochara Sampajañña, the clear comprehension of domain. And this will be continued tomorrow. That's all for today.